Okay, welcome to our new Pirkei Avos Chaburah. Um, don't expect anything like crazy fancy. We're learning Pirkei Avos with the Bartanora, and please feel free to jump in and give your 2 cents, and I'll give my 2 cents. And we're just learning Pirkei Avos with the Bartanora. So if you have the Sefer, any Pirkei Avos has the Bartanora in it, and that's what we're gonna do. Bezrat Hashem. So we start from Perek Rishon. Mishnah Aleph, Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai. Moshe was Makabel Torah Sinai. And Masoli Yeshua, he handed it to Yeshua, the Yeshua the Zakanim. Yeshua handed it to the Zakanim and the Nevi'im. The Nevi'im Masrua, the Anshe Knesset Gedola. They passed it on to the Anshe Knesset Gedola. Haim Amru Shloisha Devarim. They said three things. Have a Masulim Bedin. B, they translate that as deliberate in din. Yeah. Pause, basically. So be masulim bedin, v'ha'amidu samidim habe, Shalom Michael. Stand up lots of talmidim, v'asu sag Torah, and make a fence for the Torah. So Michael, I was just saying we're doing Pirkei Avos, and we're just reading it with the Bartanora. Yeah, we're just going to get Pashup Pshat, and if anybody has anything beautiful to say, please say it. This is 100% open for discussion. And if I think of anything worth saying, I'll also mention it as well. But we're just going to pick Avos with the Bartanura. So we said the first Mishnah. So this is what the Bartanura says. Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai says Radia Bartanura. Oimer ani. That's interesting why he says Oimer ani. I say. Lefit Shemesech Zoi Einam Yusez Al Perish Mitzvah Me Mitzvah Torah Kisha Masechtois. It's um not muted on we're not explaining mitzvahs, which is really what all the other Mishnayos is doing. Ella kula musa and midos. They're teaching musa and midos. Musa translates, I suppose, as character refinement, and midos is also good character. I don't know what the difference is there, to be honest. But Hachma Umas Oilam, the goyim, the chachamim of the goyim, gam kein chibru sfarim. They also made sfarim kamoish badu milibam bedakei musa, that they invented from their hearts these ways of musa. How you should be with your friends, with other people. Lefichach hischel tana maseches. Therefore, this Masechta begins like this: Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai. That Moshe was Makabel Torah Sinai. Loi Malach. It says to you, Shahamidas v'Hamsarim Shebazoi Hamaseches. That the good traits and the Musa, the eitzes in life that are given over in this Masechta, Loi Badu Oisam Hachmei Mishna Belibam. The Chochmei Mishnah did not invent them from their hearts. That they came from Sinai. So, like, who cares? What's the difference? I think the difference is that we, even the mishpatim, yeah, things that make sense to us, we don't really care that things make sense. Yeah, if they make sense to us, that's great. But we are Bnei Yisrael, and the Chiddush of Bnei Yisrael is that we received the Torah from Sinai. That's the Chiddush of us. Wow, those are people. No one I know as well. Yeah, Yitzi.
Nothing.
That was it. Okay. Missinai. They were Makabel Missinai. Memisha Nigla B'Sinai. The one who revealed himself at Sinai. Yeah, that's very important because Sinai was the revelation, as we know that the reaction by Misa Bereshis was like, wow, this is all amazing, but like, what's the point? It wasn't a revelation of Hashem, it was a concealment of Hashem. It was a concealment of Hashem. By Sinai there was an actual Gilui of Hashem. What does that mean, a Gilui of Hashem? a gilui of what he actually wanted. See, we speak about Hester Panim, yeah? What's Hester Panim? What's the difference between Simsum and Hester Panim? That's a real technical Kabbalah like Hasidus question.
It is
Go.
I would guess Simsum is more of a revelation. Hester Panim is hiding.
I was going to say that afterwards. He just spoiled my thing, but that
Oh,
wasn't that's not what they are really. What's the difference between Simpson and Hester Panem? You're right though. Simpson is actually Almanas Legale. It's so as to reveal. Hester Panem is actually to conceal. So what's the difference between Hester Panem and Simpson? Simpson is a din on Kamos. Hester Panem is a din on Eichus. Symptom is a reduction of quantity of light. Hestepanim is a reduction in quality of light. Very different things. So symptom, if for example you taste a teeny weeny little bit of the sea, yeah, you know it's the sea. You know which sea it is as long as you know the Indian. Yeah, a teeny drop of the sea, although it's not the sea, it's just a teeny drop of the sea. It's 100% accurate remez of the sea. So Tzimtzum is a reduction of Hashem's light, but you are powerfully aware of him. Hestepanim, on the other hand, is a reduction in the in the quality of light. That's why it's called Hestepanim, because he conceals his face. The face is the where you recognize the other. You don't recognize someone from their back. You recognize them from their front, from their face. But we also know that face, panim, means inner. So as we know, we've got two levels of will. Yeah. There's two kinds of things we want. We want things as an end unto themselves, and then we want things as a means to other ends. So we get on the aeroplane to go on holiday. You don't want to go on an aeroplane, but you have to. So you do want to go on it, but only because you want to go on holiday. But you want to go on holiday because you want to go on holiday. The aeroplane is external will, and the holiday is pneumius saratzon. That's what you want. So when you see the guy on the plane, you know nothing about him. You can't recognize him. That's called chetzonius aratzon. That's called hesteponim. When you're doing something that you don't really want to do, you just have to do it. That conceals the face. So I look at this guy on the aeroplane, and I look at the guy next to him, and the girl next to him, and the guy next to her, and I don't know anything about them whatsoever. All I know is they're on an airplane going to Athens. Yeah. Once they get off the airplane and they get to their actual destination, now I learn this guy's a surfer. Yeah, I know something about him. This guy's a businessman doing something here. This guy's a fine food connoisseur, whatever it is, he's doing this. And I actually learn about them. So you see their face, you recognize them. That's the Indian of Hester Panim and Simson. So that was what happened at Matan Torah. That's why it says, that's why the Rav says, Mimi Shenigla b'Sinai. He revealed himself at Sinai. What did he do by Maisa Bereshis? He concealed himself by Maisa Bereshis. Because all of a sudden there's trees and light and water and grass and animals and people, and you're like, okay, now what? Why? And no one knew. Only a few people handed down what was going on. No one knew what Hashem wanted. They just saw this world. They're like, wow, this is really cool. He's got like a nice style. He's got a good eye for design. Yeah, but what does he want? That's where you actually see the person. That's who the person is, what they want. That's who the person is. Okay, the Zakanim. So they handed it down to the Zakanim. So it says something I heard one time was Masrua. When it says Masrua, when it says Masrua, it's like a big change. So Moshe Kibbutz Torah Sinai, then Masrua Yeshua. There was a massive, I don't know what it was, but something happened in the transition from Moshe to Yeshua. But from Yeshua to Zakanim to Nevi'im, that was a very similar, that they kept it similar. And then once it says in Nevi'im Masrua la'anchei Knesset Gedola, again, it dropped down another huge level from the Nevi'im to the Anshei Knesset Gedola was another massive drop. So the Rav says the Zakanim. They lived for many years after Yeshua. Those Zakanim, there wasn't just one generation of Zakanim, there was lots of Zakanim. So they gave them to the Zakanim. Yeah, until it got to the beginning of the Nevi'im. So the Zakanim weren't Nevi'im, but they were obviously on a higher Madrega than the Nevi'im. I don't know really anything about the Zakanim. I really would like to. Like, why don't we know any of their names? Just the Zakanim. And there was loads of them. And like you never hear, and they're not talked about particularly like, not talked about particularly in with tremendous shevach like the Nevi'im. But anyway, until it came to the Nevi'im, Shem Elia Cohen Shmo Haramasi. That was the beginning of the Nevi'im was Elia Cohen and Shmuel. La'anchei Knesset Gedola. Now they handed it down to the Anshei Knesset Gedola. Says the Rav.
Well, I want to ask you. So you said umisara twice that it's passed down. So you're saying when it gets passed down, it loses a level, it loses something. We don't have as much.
I'm not sure exactly what happened, but there's a big. I mean, L'choira is something like that. But there's a big difference between the Torah that Moshe had and the Torah that Yeshua had. And then there was a big difference between the Torah that the Nevi'im had and the Torah that the Anshei Knesset Gedola had.
So does that mean that whatever that Torah is, nobody in our time can get to that spot? Nobody can get to that level? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know. It's a good question. Okay, Anshei Knesset Gedola. Who's the Anshei Knesset Gedola? Me'eh ve'esem Zakanim hayu, 120 Zakanim. It's just so important to remember how you see very clearly from a society who they praise, like what it says about the society. We constantly talk about Zakanim. In the society that we live, we talk about Na'arim. It's all these little kids that get all the covered, So anyway, Zerubbabel, Sroya, I don't know these people, Mordechai, Bilshan, that's Mordechai, I think. Shahai b'mei Ezra, k'sha'alu min hagoyle b'bai sheni. They come out from the Galus in Bayasheni, Miklalim, and with them was Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, Nehemiah ben Halachia, Chaverehem, which is interesting because we just spoke about the Nevi'im, and then the Anshei Knesset Gedola, he just lists a whole bunch of Nevi'im. I don't know what's going on there. It'd be interesting to know. The Nikru Knesset Gedola, they were called the Great Assembly. Lefi Shechziru Ha'atara Liyoshna. They brought back the crown. Liyoshna. What's Liyoshna? 1 minute. They brought back the crown.
Is it possible some of the Nevi'im were on the Anshei Knesset Gedola, and that's why it's mixed?
That's what it said. 100%. They brought back the crown to how it was originally. That's what the Anshei Knesset Gedola did.
Shmuel, what did you just look up? What did you look up? What did you see?
I just have a translation of the Bartanah on my other screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Moshe Amar, Moshe said, "Akel Agadol Hagibav Anoira." So Moshe said, "Akel Agadol Hagibav Anoira." Bo Yirmiyah v'Daniel v'Loi Amru Gibav Anoira. They just said Ha'el Hagadol. They didn't say Gibav Anoira. But they returned it back to how it was. Lefisha Amru Hein Hein Gevor Yosov, Hein Hein Nor Yosov. She'ol Malay Kain, Heich Umkazoy Yechoyle Lehiskayim Bifnei Kama Umois. So according to the Bartanora, it went back to the original. It went back to the original Madrega. Why? Because how on earth would we be able to weather the Gullus without the Torah in its strength? That's what it's saying. Okay. Haim Amru Shloisha Devarim. He said three things. Harbe Devarim Amru. That actually said a lot of things. Yeah. Ella Shloisha Devarim Halalu Amru Hain Sheyesh B'hem Kiyam Torah. That these three things that he said, this is what gives kiyam to the Torah. Because we talked about now the handing down of the Torah. Now the goal is to maintain the Torah to go through further generations. So they said many things. But these were the things that give kiyam to the Torah. So number one, having masunim bedin. She'im bedin lefanecha pam ushtayim ushloisha. If the same din comes in front of you once or twice or even three times, loy toima, don't say din zeh kavar b'lefanai. This din already came in front of me. V'shnisi shlachti boy, that I've already done it once, done it twice, done it three times. I know what's going on here. El hevem asunin. Be deliberate, kolomer. Mamtinin koiden shetif saku hadin. Wait before you give psak in the din. Think about it. Even though you've seen it before, it's come again. Yeah, still deliberate. Okay, we'll maybe add something to this in a minute. Okay, that's number one. I'll say it now that I thought here having Masulim Bedin is we mentioned this last night in the Shir, in the 8 days, that the first of the days is live life. Yeah, call it B'chat B'chaim. Be proactive as opposed to reactive. Meaning take control of your response. Don't just react. Ever. Now, that is predicated on creating a space between the stimulus and the response. That space is an incredibly holy space to be in. That space that gives you, so to speak, the Yeshiva Das to actually decide your response as opposed to just respond, to react. Yeah? I think that's a remiss to this here. Be masunin bedin. Wait before you make the judgment. That is the foundation of all of humankind and Yiddishkeit. First things first is don't react. Wait. Hold yourself back. Work it out. Is this the correct reaction to what's happening right now? Okay, good. I'll do it. It's not fine. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, that's how I feel that the Pirkei Avos begins, having masunin bedin. And it's like in the din, meaning when this happens and your response in the din, stop. Be in that space for a few moments and allow yourself the privilege of choosing your response. Yeah, you see.
Yeah, I just thank you for saying that, because we all make these decisions constantly. But what I'm hearing from you is to actually stay in it a little longer, which is unique.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yeah.
Enjoy it. Enjoy that silent place. Your wife says something to you, and you're like, my dad is I've seen him do this for years and years. You'll see him, not just with my mum, with anything, you'll see him like this. All the time. He's about to say something, and he's like, yeah, don't need to say that. I wish I could know all the things he said.
Yeah, but I'm sure your mom has picked up on it. It's like, I know what you're doing. So it's lose-lose.
Get in trouble. You can get in trouble for what you were gonna say. I've gotten in trouble for dreams that my wife's had. I've gotten in trouble for dreams that my wife's had. You know, I know other men as well. I'm not saying anything. My wife is absolutely wonderful, but it happens. You know, you wake up and your spouse did something to you nasty in a dream, and you're like, can't believe you did that to me, and you're like, hello, shalom, nice to see you.
Hi. Can I chime in for a second?
Yeah, please. We'd love
I just want to say, yeah, there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell, I think, called Blink. And he talks about making, I haven't read it, but he talks about making like how the mind is capable of making very, very complex decisions like instantaneously. And I think an Israeli researcher subsequently came along and said that he's incorrect. That while that's true, that the mind is capable of making split-second decisions very very quickly and accurately sometimes, but the best decisions are actually made when there's both, when you take into account more than just, the, I guess, the instinct or the intuition, but you go through it logically as well.
Very good. So that it's fitting that Pirkei Avos begins with such a it's just in my mind it's so fit, because I always had trouble with this with Pirkei Avos, because everything else is like so practical and like, and this is like just the Pirkei Avos opens with a kind of an ode to the Rabbonim. We're like, and then Hamidu Talmidim Harbe, stand up lots of Talmidim, Vasu Sagla Torah. And then it gets in, it's like, it was always a little jarring for me until I thought like that makes a lot of sense, that the whole of Pirkei Avos is predicated on just wait. And by the way, Hillel, what you're saying, I think, is you have the best of both worlds when you stop, because you knew you were going to say, now you can make a decision. Is that what I'm going to actually do? It's not like you don't have to do that. It's just you can entertain another thought. And I just as something that's very, very holy and that we should all do, is that when someone asks you a question, you should, number one, never cut them off. I know I sometimes do that for like the sake of time and that, but I don't like doing it, but I feel that I have to do that. But you should never cut them off. And even better than that is, once they've said the question, you should pause. You should pause for a decent amount of time, and allow like the Rav just said here, if you've seen the din once, twice, three times, doesn't matter. Treat it as a new din. Treat it as a new din. So that I know when I ask someone a question and there's a real deliberation, it makes me feel very good. So it's just, that's a nice answer, full stop. Just put the chalal. Okay.
You were gonna say you're having a hard time that was predicated on this. You almost were gonna say a line. So therefore, why does it start like this? Why? What did you expect it?
The Pasha Pshat is that it's talking about the Masorah, so it's giving answers to the Rabbonim who are handing the Masorah over. So it says, have a Masunim Bedin, be deliberate in judgment, stand up many students, and then make a sayag, a fence for the Torah. Yeah, it's an answer. It's advice to the bearers of the Masorah, the ones handing the Masorah on. That's the Pasha Pshat. But I'll tell you also something that Rav Yitzhak Ginsburg said, which is moedic. So one said, let's just finish what the Rav says. So Hamzi Talmidim Harbe, La'apuke Merabban Gamliel. So it says, stand up lots of Talmidim, not like how it was with Rabban Gamliel. The Amma Kol Talmid She'ein Toicha Kuboiroi Al Yikanes Leveis Medrash. Any Talmud who isn't Toicha Kuboiroi, that means his insides isn't like his outsides, don't let him into the base of Medrash. We learn from this, not like Rabban Gamliel, that you teach Torah to everyone, but you don't have to check out to make sure he's a good guy. And as long as he's not mamash a Russia. Inami ashma'inan she'im hamdi talmidim bevachrusoi ya'amid talmidim bezeknusoi. What's that? Inami. Oh, there's another. It's Inami. We may derive that if he raised up desires in his youth, he should also do so in his old age. I mean, that if you, that's just what you should be doing the whole time. Don't think that because you've already got a lot of Talmidim from when you were young, now you can like sit in your laurels. No, you should be doing this the whole time. But in the morning, you plant your seeds. Al Tanach Yadecha, and in the evening, don't sit around doing nothing. Okay, just interesting that the inyan of Toichoi Kuboiroi, the inside should be like the outsides. shouldn't you say that the outsides should be like the insides? Like that's what we mean. Like a genuine person means he's not acting in a different way to who he is. But this famous phrase from Chazal is toicha keboiroi. His insides should be like his outsides. No, his outsides should be like his insides. Be authentic. That's called authentic. No, because we're Jewish. And the first things first is make sure your behavior is in check. Start behaving like a mensch. That's the boiroi, that's the outsides. And you know what will happen if you start acting correctly? Is your insides will follow along. That's how you do it. That's how you become a mensch, is start acting like a mensch. It's not the other way around. You don't become a mensch then act like a mensch. First you start acting like a mensch. Start acting like a tzaddik. Yeah? Stop speaking Lashon Hara. Stop picking your nose. Stop saying nasty things to stop eating like, etc., etc. Get the behavior in line, and you know what? Sooner rather than later, you're going to become a tzaddik. And all of a sudden, you'll realize that your whole inner world has started to clean up. Because you can't really take control of the inner world. That's very difficult. That's really difficult. Who's that? Turn off the picture. How do you turn off a picture? Oh, just like that. So Toicha Kaboiroi is a remez to that. Get the boiroi in place, start acting like a mensch, and Toicha will follow. So that was a side point. Asu sag Torah, make a fence for the Torah, a goder. That means a fence. Shlo yavoi liga be'issa Torah. You shouldn't come to an issa Torah. Kagon shnias la'arayas yishus the Shabbos. He says like simple, like shnias la'arayas, which is like distant, like Durabonan dika ariases, and shvus the Shabbos, which is also Durabonans. Dichsiv. Ushmartem es mishmarti, just guard my guardings. Asu mishmeres mishmarti. Make sure to guard my things. Put a fence around the Torah. So, if I remember correctly, Yitzhak Ginsburg said that Moshe Kibbutz Torah Messinai, that whole inyan, that's the inyan of Chochmah. Okay? Heve Masunim Bedin, that's Bina. Hamidu Talmudim Habe, that's the Midas. Talmidim and Midas. And Asu Sagla Torah, that's Malchus. So you have the Yud, which is the Yud is Chochmah, the Hey is Bina, the Vav is Tiferes, Zah, whatever, and the final Hey is Malchus. So you have in the first Mishna Pirkei Avos the Yud K Vav K. That's what Rav Ginsburg said, if I remember correctly. Vasu Sagla Torah. What is a Sagla Chochmah?
What do you mean Chachma? It's a fence, no?
No. But we say later on in second period, Sayagla Chochmah Shtika. So the Torah is Hashem's Chochmah and his Ratzon as well. Make a Asu Sayagla Torah. Make a fence for the Torah, and we know from later in Pirkei Avos that Sayagla Shtika, so Sayagla Chochmah is Shtika. So
what does that mean? Sayagla Chochmah Shtika. What does that mean?
Fence for Chochmah is silence.
What does that mean?
You want to maintain your Chochmah. You want to guard your Chochmah. Be quiet. But we learn from that. This is how we learn Torah, with silence. But this is truly how you learn everything, with silence. The analysis and the chavrusa comes after the silence. The first step in learning is silence. We said in the last share that's lashon dam and doimem. Doimem is silence. Demima is silence, and dam, blood, is what transfers the oxygen to the parts of the parts of the goo. And dam is also lashon mida, moded. Yeah, it's the same oisius of Mida. What's a Mida? What's the Midas? The Esamidas and Makasher the Boin Sholem to the creation through the Esamidas. The Esaspheres are called the Esamidas. So we see that the Mem and the Dalad are very much bound up in this idea of connecting. It's 44. I don't know what that's about, but that's just an interesting point. I think we'll hold here. That was good. Just great. If you fit, look, next week we'll go into Mishna Bays. If you have some time to look up some stuff, yeah, look it up. And I really like this to be more of a chavrusa than a shir. I'm happy to lead the way, but if you can put some time in and glean some beautiful pearls of wisdom from Avos, it's very accessible. There's endless English, Perusian and stuff. Then it can be more of a. There you go. Oh, great. So read through it
What was that, Mike? Which one was that?
The Sfas Emes.
That's great. So next week, if you look, we won't get past base and Gimel, but next week, if you can do a little Ian over the week into base and Gimel and write down anything that pops out, then we'll discuss. Let's do it.
What I want to offer here somewhat is an answer to the question that you asked, why weren't the Zakanim listed? It just says Zakanim. Yeah. So Sfas Emes here, it doesn't bring it down, but it brings this concept of the function of a Jewish leader. It says, contrary to popular misconception, the primary function of a Jewish leader is not to lead, but rather to impress upon Klal Yisrael that Hashem is their leader. So it was not saying in reference to Zakanim, it was a general comment, but perhaps that can be applied to Zakanim because we have Moshe, Yeshua, and then Zakanim because it's not about them, it's about Hashem. So perhaps that's one reason why.
Nice. Beautiful. And I'm just want to add to what I said before, that from my personal experience, the most growth that I have had in my hasagas of Torah is with Sichas Chavayim, discussing the ideas, fleshing them out, being annoyed by the way that it doesn't make sense, and just speaking it out with Anivus and with Bikush and with Ratzon and with Covered and just it's so healthy for your inner world, like we shouldn't be discussing Trump and Harris. We should be discussing Pirkei Avos. Exactly. We should be discussing this is what Yidden should be doing. They should be sitting down and saying, like what Yitzi just said to me, why did 8 people in the Teva need such a big space? In where I live in I live in the thicket in the shtetl in Yerushalayim. That's what they do. Everyone around here, like the Yushalmim, not the Americans and the Chutznikim, real Yushalmim, yeah. Like, and there's where I live, there's mamash a lot of real Yushalmim from Duras mamash. They've lived here for hundreds of years, and there's no break in the chain from their great grandfathers to Moshe. And you see them sit down in the time, and they pull out a book, and there's no news, there's no kesher to this world. There's just the Gemara they're learning, the Pasha, the Daf Yomi if they learn whatever it is. That's the only thing on their mind. We should really, we should be striving for that. That's something to aim for, Anyway, okay, everyone should have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.
One quick idea.
Yeah.
Is in the word emes, you have Aleph to Mem to Taf. You have Aleph Hashem to Mem to Moshe Rabbeinu to Taf to Talmidei Chachamim. That's the Masorah. Have a good job.
This is Lashon Emet. I will die. That's real. The real truth is
the real Mesiras Nefesh.
When you realize that, you're going to die and that you're not eternal and that you're not God. That's truth.
Job.
Thanks,